Happy New Year, everyone, 2026. And we're starting off with not just a good game, but good guests today. Great guests, phenomenal guests. I've been excited about this show today because we have two phenomenal women at the table, and I can't wait to have this discussion. Please pull up a chair and be the fourth player at the Domino Dialogues. At the Domino table today, we have Captain Maria Ortiz-Rodriguez from the Philadelphia Police Department. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And also at the Domino table, who's about to lose against me, is Captain Cecilia Ortiz from the Philadelphia Fire Department. Welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, we're starting off the game, and believe it or not, I'm starting off because I have the double six. I don't remember the last time I had the double six in any of our games, so I'm just excited about this because I'm up against you two. So far I do know this, and we're going to talk about that you both are competitive. So I know I got to start off right. Maybe I rigged the game, maybe I didn't, but I made sure I have the double six. As we start to play and actually have this conversation, I want to start off with you, Maria. Just a little bit about yourself, where you come from. Are you from Philly? Are you not from Philly?
So like you said, my name is Maria Ortiz, and I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. So that's where I started off. And then Philly me vio crecer también, ¿verdad? Because I came here at the age of 16. So this was still, my husband likes to say, I'm really from Philly because I lived most of my life here, but I'm still going to claim Brooklyn, New York.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from and where you grew up at?
Born and raised in Philadelphia, North Philly. I was raised the majority of my life on 6th Street between Cambria and Somerset, across the street from Fairhill Elementary School in the Fairhill section of Philadelphia.
All right, so I'm going to start off with you first, Maria. Can you give me an example, or did you have anyone, as far as when it comes to being a female, that you looked up to growing up?
I think my response is going to be the same as a lot of Latinas, my mother, right? Mm-hmm. So watching my mother be a mother, an amazing mother, her resilience, her protection, her overprotection, right? Her strictness. Mm-hmm. So that's why, to this day, that's who I reach out to for guidance, support, and yeah, she's amazing. So that's who I look up to.
So you said that, you reach out to your mother because there's plenty of knowledge there, right? And experience. And that's something that you really can't get anywhere else.
Absolutely.
What is it like, if you can speak for your mother, to watch her daughter grow into the person she is today?
I love that you asked me that because my mother always wanted to be a police officer. Unfortunately, she didn't make it through. I don't think my father was a big supporter of that, right? Of my mother being in a police car and who she was working with, stuff of that nature. My grandfather was a cop in Puerto Rico. So my father loves law enforcement. And if you see him now, my dad, he has all these necklaces where everybody's charmed, because I do have family members in the police department. So he has everyone's charm, right? So he's a big fan of police department. He just didn't want his wife doing it. So when I decided I was going to be a police officer, ella me decía, when you're driving down the street in your police car, I'm going to be chasing behind you. That's my daughter. That's my daughter. And I'm going to be yelling in the streets. To this day, she still owes me that because she hasn't done it, right. But she's been there for me 100%. She's my, listen, anytime I feel any kind of way that I feel like I need that extra push, she's the one that I call. She's your cheerleader. She's definitely my cheerleader. So, yeah.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And just big props to your mother also for being that person that pushed you into that role and into the person that you are. And I think that's very important for many parents to hear that also, because a lot of times folks don't know how much of an example they are to their children. you know, and they worry about that. You know, sometimes I'm working too much, or am I doing the right thing? And sometimes it's just about being who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not worried about if you're mean or trying to be their friend.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out at the end.
I'll give you an example. I remember I was a young detective, like 25 years old, and I was investigating missing persons. Long-term missing person unit is where I was assigned. And as a young detective, it was hard for me to not be able to find some of the missing people that I was assigned to, right? And that was difficult. And a lot of times it was frustrating. And there was times that I wanted to give up because just the frustration of why can't I locate the adults missing people the way I want to locate them, right? And I would call her, I would reach out to her. I don't know that I can do this anymore. And she would say to me, well, you know, I'm disappointed that you feel that way because there's a lot of people out there hoping and praying that you're finding their loved ones, that you're doing your best and that you're putting in your all into your career and your job and your responsibilities to find their loved ones. And that's all I needed. It was like a light switch. I just needed that extra push, right, to help me through the challenges I was having.
Is there any way we could get your mom a pension from the police department?
She definitely needs it.
Cecilia, tell me a little bit about yourself and who was your example and who motivated you?
So I would say both my parents. My mom, because she was a very resilient person. She grew up with a family of 8, 4 brothers, 4 sisters. My grandparents lived right across the street from Fairhill on the other side of the schoolyard. Yeah. Both sets of my grandparents lived right next door to each other. And my mom's parents, they migrated from Puerto Rico. They worked in the factories. Both my grandmothers were seamstress. My grandfather, my mom's dad worked in the chocolate factory, and my dad's dad worked in the school district. And it made my mom very resilient, coming from a household of 8. She was in the middle. She had to care for her younger brothers and sisters, was taken out of school early because back then, your parents were allowed to take you out of school to do household things. And so they took her out of school early to care for her younger brothers and sisters as her parents worked. So even with all of that, my mom still, like, as she got older or whatever, she took care of us, but she wanted to be independent too. So she worked, you know, her own job and stuff like that. And my dad, he worked in a naval shipyard. He was in the Air Force and the Army Coast Guard too. He served in both. And my dad's dad served in the Air Force as well. I had an uncle who served in the Marine Corps. And, you know, so I think those backgrounds helped build my mom and dad, their characters and stuff like that, which paid it forward to us. Because they were my mom was super strict with us. And because my dad worked a lot at the shipyard, he worked crazy shifts, like the night shift and stuff. And so, you know, my mom had the majority of the time she had us. So she had that responsibility of being the mom and dad a lot of times. And so she was really strict with us. And, you know, we were allowed to like sit on the front steps.
That's it.
You know, and then play in the schoolyard across the street. And when the lights turned on, it was time to bring your butt in the house. And, you know, that was it.
Yeah, it's amazing because I had the opportunity to meet your mom a few times. And I had a couple of conversations with her. Very direct, very firm, very funny too. Yeah. Very proud of you too. We had a conversation about you and how proud she is of you and the family and the direction the family's taken, and just an example you are. So just a big props to your mom and who she is and what she's accomplished with her family. So thank you for sharing that. So I just want to, this is a very important question, right? There was rumors that you grew up upstairs from Santos Cheesesteaks. Is that true?
Very true.
Please don't beat me up for this question. Now, did you go to school smelling like cheesesteaks?
No. No, absolutely not. My mom is, if anybody knows my mom, they'll tell you she's a neat freak. I say she has OCD, but she wouldn't say that. But but she's like a crazy neat freak. But no, we didn't smell like cheesesteaks or anything like that.
No, I just, you know, I think I did because I spent most of my time in there either playing a video game.
Oh, yeah.
That he had a little arcade game in there, and I would come out and folks would know I was in Santos because I smelled like a cheesesteak.
We lived there, but most of the time we weren't even there because, like I said, my grandparents lived on Marshall Street, across the street from Fairhill High School. So we would walk down, that's just 2 blocks down. Yeah. So we would walk down, and the majority of the time we're at my grandparents' house. And my dad worked, my mom worked, so we grew up basically at my grandparents' house until my parents got out of work. And then even after that, you know, my grandmom, one or the other was cooking, so you would eat dinner there. By the time, you know, they came and talked to the whole family or whatever, you weren't leaving a grandparents' house till like 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then go home, and then same routine next day. So
I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something special about, particularly in the Latino culture and the Puerto Rican culture, of the grandmoms and the great grandmoms stepping in. You know, I remember growing up and I heard the word nanny. I'm like, what's that?
right.
You know, someone having a nanny, and I was like, oh, we had our grandma, right? You know, that's who you spent time with while mom was working,
Right.
or mom was out trying to interview for a job, or taking care of a few things. So that tradition, to hear that, you know, it's amazing, and how rooted the Latino culture is in family. What made you want to get into the police department?
I think it's in my blood because, like I mentioned, my grandfather was a cop in Puerto Rico. I had cousins in NYPD, but they retired. I'm the last to retire. Well, I also have nephews on the job now here in Philadelphia Police Department. My sister works for 911. My youngest sister was a detective. My brother's looking to get in the field. So it's, I guess we're a family of service, right? Wanting to do good for the community, wanting to serve. So
Is there any other career that you...
my plan B, what I like to call my plan B. My plan A was to be a police officer. My plan B was to be a nurse. So I was in community college for 1 semester. And during that semester, I was accepted into the police academy. So I left community college and started my career at the age of 19. So very young. I grew up on this job, right? 30 years now, fast forward 30 years later. It's been an amazing career.
I think that. And you, what made you go into the fire department? But also, same question, was there any other careers you were looking at?
Ideally, when I was young, I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I used to like to draw and stuff like that. I think I got that from my dad. He was an artist in his own way. And then I worked at Aspida for a very long time. When it originally was at 6th and Girard. Yeah. And then they moved to 6th Street between Somerset and Lehigh. I worked there for a while. Then I worked at Keystone Mercy Health Plan. And then I met my husband, which wasn't my husband at the time, though. He was recruiting while I was working at Aspida. And, they were talking about the fire department and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that would be something I would be interested in. And I signed up to take the test and everything. And I took the test, scored well. And then started dating my husband. And we wound up getting married. So I kind of diverged and went into the family thing for a little while. And then I remember telling my dad too, Dad, I'm gonna be a firefighter. And he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a firefighter. And he was like a little bit, negative about it. And I was like, wow, you want me to be a firefighter? But I remember talking to my mom at the same time, and my mom was telling me, like, your dad, when he came back from Vietnam, he took the test, like all the civil service tests and stuff, and he wanted to be a firefighter. And he scored really high, and he went and took did his interview and stuff, and they told him that he couldn't wear glasses to be a firefighter. And so he was like disappointed and stuff. But back then, there wasn't really anybody that he could talk to confirm that that was true or not true or anything like that. And then later on, when I got into the department, I remember being at the academy, and around the same time frame that he had stated that he, wanted to get on and took the test and stuff. I remember looking at pictures on the wall, and there were, firefighters there, and they had glasses on. I'm like, wow. So, like, he was able to wear glasses, and I guess they told me he couldn't.
What do you think that was?
I I don't know, and I don't want to say it's something that it may not be, but it's disheartening that back then, we didn't have the roots in these departments that we do now. And that's why I think it's very important that we have our organizations that we do have within, within the departments that help to support those pathways for recruitment and stuff like that, so that we have diversity in the departments to represent every community. Because I think that's important. That's very important because, I'm in the department now, and when I got into the department, my dad was like, I think he was more shocked than anything else that it was possible, and then when I got promoted, that was like that topped for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, the universe has its way of making things happen.
Right.
At the end of the day, his child, not only became a firefighter, but was a captain. And I also believe, just sitting in the presence of both of you, that you guys are going to, I'm calling it out now, we can have that on film. They're going to go way above the positions that you hold now, just because of who you are. I'm glad you brought that up about someone sometimes, when it comes to negativity, right? Did you hear any of that from anybody, like family or friends, saying why you want to be a police officer or why do you want to be a firefighter? Was there anyone that tried to talk you out of that?
Not on my end, because I think that they knew my character. They knew I was a police explorer too. So I was already finding my path into the police department. So at the age of 16, I was a police explorer, getting to learn the ways of the police department and what it would take to be a police officer, their practices and stuff of that nature. So, so they knew I had a goal, that or nursing. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up with the explorers. I just want to start off by saying, my youngest son is a fire explorer. Mm-hmm. He just became ENT, nationally certified, and just very proud and grateful for the department, for the way my son was embraced. As a parent, as a father, you can't do everything. Right. And sometimes you gotta let your child go, right? Explore the world, explorers, right? Explore the world. And like my busy schedule, how do I still make sure he's doing the right thing? How is he getting up in there? And to not only see how he was embraced by the department, how he was loved on and cared on and mentored. When he went up for his test and he failed the first time around. And meanwhile, while I'm coming home, he was upset, he cried. He was just distraught. And the phone calls that came in from the department, they said, no, you're going to try again. Yep. You're going to get back at it again. And it just was reassuring to have a village. Now they say it takes a village to raise a child, to pour into him. And when he got those phone calls, you could see his face start to light up and you see him get motivated. You see him right back in the book. So I really admire and respect the Explorer program. We had a couple events here at the Lighthouse Field, and we would have the police explorers come out to help out and assist with our events. Same thing with the fire explorers. And just so impressed to see the young people come out, and I feel as though, this is just my opinion, this needs to be more promoted and put out there on the news, and people need to speak about them. Or we're so quick to talk about the 10% that's out there running around. Like if you have a group of kids that run around like a flash mob, acting out, we're quick to be like, oh, look at this. And we start thinking it's every kid. Right. But people are not realizing that there are young folks out there that are waking up every day making a decision to be a fire explorer, a police explorer. No one's talking about that, right? Because to me, that provides hope. When you see these children, you start saying, wow, there is hope. There is a future for our young folks, because they are kids doing what they have to do. And before I ask the next question on that, I just want to say I was just so impressed on how they were helping out with parking and speaking to the community. And I believe in these programs at the end of the day, because, people sometimes feel as though when people take certain roles, they don't know how to interact with the community. Well, this is the basis now. They're learning how to interact with the community, but they're from the community. What is your opinion on the police explorers?
I love the program. I'm a product of the program, right? I remember going into the 26th district. She's heard the story many a times, but we worked together a whole lot. But I walked into the 26th district as a police explorer, and my mentor was Bo Diaz. I'll never forget him. He's amazing. He's a great guy. But he kept me focused. And walking into the police district and watching the officers, I used to tell myself that's going to be me one day. So I remained focused because of that program, right? I would watch them walk past me. That's going to be me one day. And 25 years later, I walk in as the commander of the building. So that was like a full circle for me. After that, I was ready to retire. I was like, okay, right. And I think that I didn't realize the impact that actually had on me until I was talking to my dad one day. And it was a Puerto Rican Day Parade. I'm standing out there on Lehigh Avenue. My dad drives past and he says, I have a question for you. Are you the captain of that district where I would take you to volunteer when you were a teenager? I say, yeah, that's where I'm at. And he started laughing. And it was that proud laugh and just that lit up my world. And that's when I felt like, wow, I did something here, because even myself, I didn't realize, the value of that. I'm the captain of the choice. Oh, yeah, I was here as a teenager, But when he said that to me, it was just like a whole epiphany, a whole big moment for me. So I think that the program, first, it still instills not just stability, but structure. It shows them what it is to provide service to the community, how to interact with the community. It keeps them focused, like I said, like what it did for me. I was a proud commanding officer of the program, so I also led the program just like she started the program on her side. So I'm actually proud that we both had our hands on that. One of the main instructor for the program is Corporal Coyle. I'm sure you've met him before, and his heart is into it. He started that program as a volunteer. Wow. And he was an instructor when I came through. And he was allowed to make it into a full-time program, and he's done an amazing job. And it's like you said, it's not advertised a lot, right? It's as far as the greatness of the program, as far as what they accomplished during the program, and the difference that it makes, not just for the youth, but also the services and the support, and also the support from the instructors to the youth. Like you just mentioned, how the fire department embraced your son. It's the same thing with our police department. The way we embrace the kids and we're there for them through every facet of their life, right? Anytime they're going through different changes and challenges and stuff of that nature, even if it doesn't have to do with anything with the program, we're there for them. Right. Koyu is an amazing, like I said, he's there for those officers, the cadets, the explorers. And when I hear these stories, it just makes it more meaningful, and it's the reason why we do it.
That family vibe to it, right? That family vibe. I was writing on something today about loneliness is a disease that people don't speak about. It can affect anyone as an adult, individual, community, or neighborhood. But a lot of our children are feeling lonely. Right. And these programs gives them an opportunity to be seen, heard, and participate where you don't feel lonely because you're part of a family. Right. What was your involvement? Because I hear a lot of things about this Fire Explorers and your involvement, and I have my take on it, right? Because I've watched you personally, because you're friendly, you're smiling here, but I watch you come in there, serious, strict, firm, and it's that motherly, and I mean that with all respect, it's that motherly, like, no, you're going to be something here. Right. And we're not going to deal with any type of excuses. Like, you're going to become something. And so I had firsthand front row seats to see the way you interact and making sure that these young folks are catered to and taken care of. So give us a little bit of your history with the Fire Explorers.
So the Fire Explorers, we started the program in 2012. I was doing some recruitments. We didn't have the recruitment unit at the time, but we had like a seasonal recruitment team, and it was asked, we were at a recruitment event, and some teenagers came up to us and said, can I volunteer with the fire department? I want to be a firefighter. And we didn't have anything at the time. And I was like, man, what a shame that we don't have anything for these young adults. And it reminded me of when I was in Aspida, when I was a teenager and I participated with the leadership councils at Aspida. And, they provided that foundation for me, of community service. And I was like, man, we need to do something with these young adults, because that's how you lose young adults. When they're bored and they don't have anything to do, they're going to find something to do. So why not give them something to do that is productive? So, I started talking to my officer at the time, and, we came up with a plan, and, I presented it to the commissioner, Lloyd Ayers, at the time. And he was like, yeah, let's try it out or whatever. Let's see how it goes. And he gave the blessing. And from that point, it ran through. Like I use my kids as some of the pilot kids and stuff. We started with 5 explorers, and now we're up to like 130 explorers from last season. We're about to start our new season, so we don't know how many we'll get.
Well, I have to stop you there. We have something called a copy cool movement. That's our copy cool moment. But this is the tricky part. The copy cool moment for me is, you said a key word. You said my kids. You didn't say those kids or those young people. You said you claimed them.
Oh, yeah.
They're yours.
Yeah, when people say, how many kids do you have? I say, I have 130-something kids. They look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, I do. These kids call me all times of the night for any little thing. They're texting me, stuff like, sometimes it drives me crazy. I'm not going to lie. But it's an investment in them, and the blessing is that when you see them excel and doing well, even if they don't join the fire department, they go to college, they go to the military, they get a good job, whatever it is, they are productive citizens now in the city, wherever. That's a blessing. So it's a blessing for not me, just our organization, everybody.
Yeah, both of you, your hearts are so big. One thing I've learned, I remember one time you gave me a call because of a program you were doing out by Edison for the kids outside. And you were very serious about who was there, what type of information was being put out to the young folks out there at Edison High School, and also just you and your community coming out. So just both of you, just all around. It's not just a job. I made it. I'm a captain. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to stay low. What makes you still want to give back to the community? What makes you have that passion? Because that's something you really can't teach. Or is it something you could teach, or is it something you can still, or bring it out of someone, because a lot of times folks make it to these positions and they just get comfortable, like I made it, I'm good, right? And in life, I've learned that nobody owes you anything, right? And you don't owe anyone anything, but you still feel that compassion inside of you to give back. You're a captain at the police department, you're a captain at the fire department. What makes you have that drive to still have this compassion for just people, period?
Yeah, I think that the way I was raised, I think the person that I am, right, was having that passion to want to help people and do more and give back. Because Edison High School, I graduated from Edison High School. Yeah. So of course I reached back out and I did a lot of different programs there. One of the programs we did was the Domestic Violence Teen Awareness Day. And I always like to incorporate activities, just like the Copy Cool table here, right? So I like to incorporate activities with conversations that we have with the youth. So in touching that subject, which is pretty sensitive, right? We did like a cupcake decorating day. So they were all officers and the kids decorating, the young adults decorating cupcakes, and then talking about signs of domestic violence and stuff of that nature. That was just one of the things that we did. I like to give back. I like to make sure that we're still reaching out to the community, and that they can see that if she made it, I can make it too. Right. She got on the job. She can be a police officer. I can do it too. So that's just one of the things. Off duty, one of my proudest moments was creating a support group for kids with autism. So I had this was probably like 10 years ago maybe.
And we worked together. We had an event here
for autism, we sure did. And I thank you for welcoming, everyone
Thank you.
here and having that awareness here, right? But my husband and I and a group, as a matter of fact, a firefighter was on my panel. Saraya, who I love dearly. She became a firefighter at the age of, well, I can't say her age, but super proud of her. But she was part of my panel, and we had a monthly meeting. It was at the Juniata Boys and Girls Club. The guy that run the program there, he was amazing with us too, and let me have it there for free. So he supported us 100%. And so I was happy to have that support from the community to continue to serve them as well, right? So every month we met, we had different activities, not just for the kids with autism, but their families, because we can't forget about the siblings, right? That are also having challenges, going through different challenges, the parents, when dealing with, different sensitive issues with their kids. So I ran that for like 5 years, and then I was promoted to lieutenant. So unfortunately, I had different hours and different more responsibilities. So we kind of had to shut it down, right? But it was amazing just to be able to do that for 5 years and to have an impact on the kids. And one of the sessions that I had was like a counseling session for the kids with autism. For the siblings of the kids with autism. So we had a day where the kids with autism went and played in the at the gym, and they were playing basketball and keeping them occupied while the siblings were all together. And they had, I got chopped, Children's Hospital involved, CAR, the Autism Center, Center for Autism Research, and they led the conversation. My daughter said to me, from everything you've done, and I tell you, I had like Philadelphia Zoo on wheels there, I had Christmas parties, all kinds of stuff. My daughter said to me, that's the best thing you did, was that counseling session so far. So it did have an impact. Some of the parents used to tell the kids, you don't behave, you're not going to MOCA, because we called it Loving My MOCA. MOCA was Mothers of Children with Autism. And although initially it was for the mothers, right? As mothers, we're very protective of our kids. So I know for sure I'm not leaving my kids with just anyone, right? So I had to deviate from that and make it a family event. So now I actually had all the families involved instead of just mothers. So yeah, that's one of the things that I'm proud of. And again, just servicing the community, right?
I think that is awesome. And I just want to send a big shout out to parents who have children with autism. Just beautiful people all the way around. Resilience, the strength, knowing it's not easy, right? And it's I don't think, when I say it's not easy being a parent, I think it's not easy dealing with the world because you want to protect your child for not understanding autism. And that day we had that event here was just amazing and beautiful, because all those children, all the people who are with autism were just beautiful, walking around with smiles and just having a great time. So thank you for bringing that here to the Lighthouse around that time. So that was awesome. Next question is going to be a little bit more serious here. You know, has there ever been a time? Has there ever been a time where the job almost broke you? You know, spiritually, mentally. Have you seen something that you can't take back? Or did you feel that you needed some type of therapy or spiritual guidance, or that phone call to mom? You know, because life happens, right? Even at the job, because I'm hoping, and I want to say I'm hoping, I know that those who are watching this, we're trying to encourage younger folks to enroll, right? Recruit, to get involved. But then it sounds all fun, but we're going to say there's a serious side to this that you got to prepare for, And before I get into that, I would say, I was a dean at Stetson before. And I remember before the year started, we used to have these group sessions. We were taught to the teachers, explain to them, hey, this is what you're about to deal with, right? Right? Because trauma is contagious. It can jump on you if you're not prepared for that, right? I will see a teacher from Johnstown, I'm just making up town, right? Johnstown. And I'm going to save the world. They're excited because they were taught to teach and everything else. 6 months later, their hair is a mess. Like, I hate these kids. I hate this job. And it's kind of like, what happened in between that time? Because that passion that they had, there's nothing bad on that teacher, but it's like, did we prepare them enough to understand what comes with the career, and that's the question I have.
So, yes, I guess as a firefighter, like you you're always exposed to different types of scenarios or situations that can be very traumatic. And, you carry those things for your career, for your life, for the rest of your life. But the thing is that you want to make sure as firefighters, as police officers, as first responders, that you don't want to become immune to your response to the situation. Where you think is, oh, well, this is something that we always respond to, is the same old, and you're just going to respond to every situation the same. Every situation isn't the same. Yeah. And that's hard to do after a while. After a while, you get the EMS call 3:00 in the morning, and you think it's just a stomach ache, and it's not just a stomach ache, right? And you come with that attitude because they kind of, they're calling you at 3:00 in the morning. You can't be like that. You can't respond to that person because they're calling you on their worst day, their worst time, right? And so you have to make sure you're keeping the right mindset to respond to every call the right way. And when it comes to the explorers, we try to instill that in them early. But at the same time, they're going through things too because they're young adults. Yeah. And they are coming from different parts of the city, from different types of households. I have some explorers that have, and then I have some explorers that don't have. And then, I'm making sure that I'm responding the same way to the haves and don't haves, right? And the ones that don't have, you have to kind of care for a little bit more, right? And making sure that they have what they need to be able to be just as successful as everybody else in the program. And in the Philadelphia Fire Department is the same thing. I've taught at the Fire Academy where we've had cadets who came in and they didn't have a stable household. They didn't have a household. They were homeless, and from the door, we embrace as a family in the fire department that we're going to treat this person as a family member. And every cadet in that, it was a proud moment, but every cadet in that cadet class stood up for that cadet and made sure that cadet had transportation, had a place to stay while they were in the academy, had, food during lunch, like everything, sneakers, like all kind of stuff. It was crazy, but it was such a proud moment to see I'm in an organization that cares for people like that. And so I make sure that we instill that as explorers even before they become a cadet at the academy, So, and at the same time, I have to make sure too that I'm doing mental checks with my staff because they're the support system, right? Yeah. So you got to make sure that your support system has the support. So, we're always doing mental checks on each other to make sure, hey, you all right? Because we've been in situations with some of our explorers that it was very sad because we're having to deal with their household situations. And, I've had some of my staff come back to the office crying because they were dealing with the situation. So yeah, we do. I'm a crier. We do mental checks on each other. We do mental checks on our explorers. And we do mental checks in the fire department on each other. You know what I'm saying? We just make sure that everybody's doing good and can be able to respond for that next call because we know it's coming, right? And so you have to be in the right mental state for it.
Wow. Just amazing. And, I just found out the older I get, the more I'm a crier, right?
Sensitive we're getting. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that, and, especially for the police department, I know it's not easy, right? Even dealing with the public, and before you even get into that, the reason I say that in the mental checks, right? Because, here at the Lighthouse, I have a small staff and we're up to over 12,000 families registered to the Lighthouse and they're from all over. And I sometimes doing a check on the staff, you guys okay? Because now we're working to serve, but don't get me wrong, there's so many people that are thankful and grateful for the police department, for the fire department, right? There are people who are grateful for what we provide here at the Lighthouse. And it takes that one or two families that could play with their head, because you can watch people go above and beyond. That's outside of their job description to make sure that people are getting served and you get disrespected or someone acting very ungrateful. And you have to explain to them, guess what? Everyone else had a great time. Don't let that one or two people mess that up for you, because that can happen. We're human, right? It can happen, and we just have to remember what this is about. We're in a unique place here. I always speak about that. As you can see, we hear the police sirens and the fire trucks, and this is all day long. So you have a hospital in the district here, and then we have a cemetery over here. And I always explain on how we have to witness these funeral parades going right into the cemetery. We have to see that. We're human. I don't want to be desensitized off of that. I want to take that as we got to work harder, right? But then there's a side of like, oh, this is what it is. This happens. And the minute we get there, we're done, right? Because we still have to feel. And how do you keep yourself mentally stable and also your team around you?
So to your point, to what you just said, is remembering the why. Sometimes we get frustrated, right? With maybe having to cut through red tape, or maybe things are not turning out the way we envision it, or stuff of that nature, right? Or the sadness that we may see. And you may feel that way, where you feel like you want to shut down. I just gave you an example when I was a detective, and I was adamant about finding people, and I want to locate my missing persons. And when I didn't, it was frustrating and challenging. But then my mother would take me back to my why. Why are you doing this? Because I want to reunite families together, right? The person that was reported missing, I want the family to see them again. So it's always focusing on your why, because it can be, both of our careers can be very frustrating, very challenging. But then remembering your why and what are the rewards is being there for people during their hardest time, like Cecilia just said, right? I think that coming on this job, I came on very young. I was blessed to have a good childhood, right? And a good upbringing with great parents, and who instilled a lot of my values in me, right? So I wasn't prepared for what I was gonna see at the age of 19. So I can go on and on and on with countless situations, but I think that for me, when I encountered those crime scenes, right, where I had people shot, where, again, numerous situations that were difficult, I remember the why and what impact I'm having. Quick example would be I had someone who was shot, and mom came on the scene. I was a mother at that time. And I think a lot of people don't realize that as cops, as firefighters, we're human too. We go through the same thing that everybody else goes through, right? We may go through the same issues with our own kids, right? So being a mother and watching that mother, as a matter of fact, when she arrived on the scene, I had resumed. So I left the scene when one of the officers went over the air asking for another vehicle because mom came on the scene. It became a little bit chaotic. I immediately went back because I wanted to be the one there. I wanted to be the one receiving that mom and calming her down. And so I embraced her, and I told her, you're gonna be okay, and just give us time. And I consoled her at that moment. And so that made it all better for me, right? It's how we react to the situation. Of course, we can't start crying on the scene, right? So I did my best. I held my tears, but I held her, and that's what mattered. How do I make sure that, I guess, I stay strong, is by talking about some of the things that we go through. The police department has programs, counselors that we can speak to. We just activated the peer support group. So now an officer can reach out to another officer when they need support. Me, myself, as a captain, I can reach out to another captain when I need support. And so we understand each other and what we go through. Sometimes it's just the presence that makes a difference. Right. And you don't even have to speak any words, but just having someone there. And that's what the peer support group does for us. Just having someone present, supporting you. Our spouses. My husband's on the job. He's an inspector, police department.
Yeah, shout out to
shout out to my hubby. He
great
was
actually, man, great guy.
Yeah, he was the captain in 25th District, East Guy. And so I have I'm blessed. I was going to say the luxury of having him as a partner, but only because he understands. And the same thing, we don't have to say many words. We understand. So just having a support system, I think, is the biggest thing. So yeah, as a new officer, you're going to encounter different things that you're not used to seeing, but is the impact that you're also having, right? Being there when people need you the most is how you're going to get through those situations.
You know, to me, the biggest cool moment out of all this for me today is having you both here. And I keep saying that, but you know, when I look at the history of the lighthouse, it was founded in 1893 by a woman by the name of Esther Kelly. So there's a building that we're rehabbing across the field, and we're naming that after Esther Kelly. And the reason for that, 1893, a woman couldn't vote. They didn't have many rights. But here's a woman who said, okay, you can put all these restrictions on me, but I'm going to still do something because my community is hurting. She wanted to provide a service, not just after school programs, not just for kids, but for adults, a place where adults could gather to be a part of something, because she understood the mental health, the strain back then, and the things that were plaguing her community. And you fast forward 100 something years later, you know, because of her strength and her resilience to be sitting here with you two, it's more than phenomenal and emotional for me to see that. And to be a part of that, because, you know, a lot of times people tell me, you know, hey, you're doing great things at the lighthouse, man. This is awesome, what you came up with. And I didn't do anything new. I just picked up the Esther Kelly playbook.
And you cared enough.
But that was her playbook.
Yeah.
Her playbook was she had love and passion for her community. So what happened through the lighthouse journey, sometimes people forgot what this was about. And she understood that. And it's like, you too, and it is, you too have that compassion. And, you know, I just want to say out there, especially for the men with this machismo stuff, man, like, put your pride to the side. You know, in my opinion, if I had it my way, women should be running the world right now, especially where we at, you know, just to have compassion for people all the way around. And there's something not just about having a woman in these positions, but a woman with a heart and understands what it is to be a human being, to have a child, you know, to have a human being inside them, the importance of life. You know, quick secret, if anybody knows Maria Mills Torres, if you ever met her, she reminds me of Celia Cruz when she walks in. But just little gestures that plant seeds in people. When I first started in my career many years ago, I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to put on a tie. I didn't know how to go anything. And then when I started to step into certain rooms, and one day I think I was at City Hall somewhere, and I was very insecure, intimidated, right, and questioning myself. Like, I don't belong here, you know? And it's pretty interesting because there was many men around, right? And I'm here trying my best, and she sensed it. She sensed it. For some reason, she saw it, and she came up to me. And she came up to me and started fixing my tie, right? And then looked at me and said, you belong here.
I love that.
Right? Don't let nobody tell you any different.
Mm-hmm.
You belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, people probably think I'm arrogant when I walk in the room. People probably think, oh, he think he the shit. But guess what? Miss Maria, in so many words, told me I'm the shit. I'm going to be the
That's
shit.
it.
You know, but in an honest way, I could still be vulnerable, intimidated, and I still do. You know, a lot of people find it hard to believe, but she comes to my mind when I walk into a room, when I now speak in front of 3,000 people, 10,000 people, when I'm out there traveling across the country, even around the world, doing speaking events. It was that moment where this woman came in and poured into me, and how important that was. How important that was, and how important that was needed, because how did she know what I was going through? How did she know what I was feeling? And I think only a woman could do that.
Well, I think too, because sometimes we have to do that ourselves. We have to play the role to be the role. And I tell that to all of my explorers. I tell that to firefighters that I work with. When you want to be something, You striving for something, you are that role. You play that role until you become it. You know, and I tell my kids that, you know, I just had, you know, we were just testing for the, you know, firefighter to lieutenant to captain or whatever. And so we do like mentor programs and stuff. And, you know, we're teaching helping them study, you know, for their exam and stuff like that. And I tell them, like, you know, when you're going to go for your exam, make sure you wear your Class A's, because they have options to wear like a suit or their Class A. Make sure you wear your Class A. Wear the uniform, play the role, be the role, you know, because you're testing for it. So you got to be in that role, that mindset, right? So that you can pass. And then they laugh at me, but I'm like, I'm not playing with you. And they know that how when I say something and I'm dead serious about it, they don't play with Cat. You know, because to me, discipline is love. And I'm going to discipline you because I love you like that, you know? And so, you know, they'll be like, okay, all right, Cap, all right. They make sure they get their uniform together and stuff to go take their tests. Because they know that if they don't do that, they're going to hear my mouth later on. And I'm gonna kill it, you know, with, you know, telling you about yourself, basically.
Well, I will say this. One time my son came out of a class and he had his uniform on. And someone said something, came by, and he was like, hey, respect the uniform. And he was dead serious. He was dead serious about that, respect.
Did he ever tell you the time? So we were having we had the summer EMT program he was in. And they were in the program, and they were joking around a lot, right? And I kept telling them, guys, when you come in here, be ready for class. Yeah. Don't play. You know, we're not about playing here. We only got a certain amount of time. Be ready for class. Every day they would come in, they playing around. So one day I was like, oh, they keep playing? All right. So I go into class, I lecture them, and I say, now everybody pack up your stuff and get out. And they're all looking at me like, what's going on? I'm like, you guys don't want to be here. You showing me you don't want this. And if you don't want to be here, don't waste my time, don't waste your time. So get out of class. Come back when you're ready. The next day they came back, they were all ready.
Yeah, he came home heated. He came home heated, and I was.
But
like,
he wasn't one of the ones.
I know.
Yeah.
But he came home heated on the level of, like, you know, like, people are not taking this serious,
right?
You know, and it's affecting me. Right. And so I said, what happened? So he spoke to someone from your team that gave him good advice. Well, there's a reason for this, because when you're involved with a fire or anything, you rely on your team to back you up. You can't just say this person's not doing their job.
You're not working independently.
So it's like you got to hold everybody accountable. So he was telling me about, you know, backdoor discussions where, yo, y'all better get it together. Right. So what you did worked. Yeah. What you did worked, and it was all about accountability with everyone. I want to ask a question, you know.
But before you move on, to your point, or your experience where someone planted the seed, right? Yeah. She took the time to tell you, you belong here. And so I just want to make sure that we emphasize how important it is for us to plant the seed and for us to be careful what we tell our kids, right? As parents, as mentors, anything. Because we are instilling different things in the kids, right? From what's being said, either positive or negative. So I think that's important. Encouraging people and just watching what we say, because it affects kids more than we know. Right. Some of the things that are being said to
They're
them,
watching.
Right? They're watching. Oh, and then on the and other things. So for me, to your point, for me, I remember growing up in New York. I remember we were going to take a state test. We took the state test every year. And the one specific principal, she would get on the loudspeaker and she would have us repeat, I know I can. I know I will pass this test. I don't know if you guys did that here in Philly.
No.
But I have carried that throughout my whole career. When I'm about to take a test, I got this. I may not say the whole rhyme. I know I can, I know I will pass this test.
You speak it into existence.
But
exactly.
I speak it into existence. And that was an encouragement. Just like for you, when she told you, you got this. That for me, there's something in me that now I use that. I use it all the time.
And I think that's why, too, it's so important for our young adults that we tell them that as mentors. You know what I'm saying? Because not every young adult has that in their household. They don't have mentors. They don't have family members encouraging them. Some of them don't have parents encouraging them. Maybe their parents are working so hard that they don't have that. When they come home, they're by themselves, right? So they don't have that encouragement. But it's important for them to have somebody in their ear saying, you got this. You could do this. You know what I'm saying? It's possible for you.
And I think it's a different generation too. Like the way we were raised and the way kids are being raised now is also a different generation where I think they're a little bit more sensitive, right? Or more knowledgeable to what is being said to them and how they're being affected. You hear about mental health a lot more. We didn't grow up with, mental health
Before,
awareness.
like,
Yeah. What is that? We don't even know what that is. But so I think that we all need to be more cautious and what we tell even our own children, right? Because it's a different generation and they carry it different. I think they carry it different than we all did. And again, mentoring and make sure that they hear something positive in their life that they can carry with them throughout their whole careers, right? And their whole life in every situation.
You know, if I had my choice and if I had to go into battle, I'll pick you two because you're the toughest out here. And the reason for saying that is, you know, like for not just only being a woman, being a Latina woman, you know, it's just so many things that are supposed to be obstacles in your way, but you still overcame them and still overcoming things. And still, I could tell, wanted to still rise and be that example and the importance of resilience. Because those who are listening, you know, nothing in life is easy. Nothing is easy. And I think for me, like, what we're getting out of the show, so many things out of this show today, but what I'm getting out of it, and I'm hoping folks really zero on is that if you want change, not just for yourself or your community, pain comes with that, right? You feeling insecure comes with it. All those emotions is okay to, like you said, talk about it, feel what you're feeling, but you still have to move forward. Do you have that drive, right? You got to dig down deep inside, and you got too many people who are not willing to take that next step. Quick story, this might sound like a brutal story, but it has a lot to do with this, right? So back in my former life, when I was at State Penn University, that makes sense? I joined the boxing team, and I would never recommend that here, right? We have a boxing team here, and it's beautiful, and we have kids off the streets at our other building, but I would never do what was done to me there. But there's a story behind it. So I wanted to join the boxing team. There was 21 guys. So they put like 21 guys near the wall, and there's the boxing team. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to have you try out for a jab or something. Like, no, they were putting you in the ring with someone who knew how to fight. That was a boxer already. So I'm watching, and I'm like, oh, my God, people are looking good in there. And they're like, all right, that's it. And they'll sit down. And then I went in there because of my weight. I was one of the smallest guys in there. They put this guy in there with me, and they were like, oh, and I hear he's going in with such and such. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I'm going in one of the top guys. So I get in there, and this is probably close to 30 years ago. And I remember to this day when I speak about it, like this guy, I'm trying to fight him, and the blood coming down my throat. That's how much I was getting beaten, right? To the point I started seeing stars literally, like they had to even stop it, and everybody was laughing. Like, so they was like, okay, go sit back down. I had to take my shirt off and put the shirt on my face because I had that much blood coming out of my face. And then at the end, they were like, only 2 people made the team. So I'm looking, I was like, gotta be that guy because he looks so good. And it was like, Desamore, so everybody was like, what? Desamore? And the coach said he never quit. Right. I could work with somebody like that. He never put me back in the ring again until I was ready. He never put me back in there to get hurt. But what he wanted to see was who had that drive. Are you willing to take the punches? Are you willing to go through the fire to get where you got to get? And I think you two show that you're willing to go through that. And before we even wrap this up, just want to ask, you know, any recommendations for anyone looking to get in either department, you know, how to go about that? And do you recommend it, and why is it needed?
So I definitely recommend it. I've had an amazing career. I was a detective, went up the supervisory ranks, and you know, accomplished a lot of things, right? And again, just having an impact on everything, in every phase of my career, having an impact. So someone who wants to service the community, someone who takes pride in this career and wants to do good. Because a lot of officers, that's the reason why they take this job, right? Is because they want to help. So someone like that, who we definitely want you on the job.
You know, would you recommend this career for someone? And if so, what advice would you give? And what avenues they should take?
I definitely would recommend this career in the fire service, EMS too, especially EMS. Shout out to my EMS folks. Although I'm a firefighter, but I give them mad props to EMS because that is not an easy job. And there is a national void for EMS providers, whether it be EMT or paramedic. And so, yes, do the EMS route. It's very fulfilling. I believe in paying it forward. I instilled that in my kids. My two kids, my two oldest are on the job now too. So yes, I believe in promoting this job because it is a fulfilling career. Yeah, there's good pay, there's good benefits and stuff, but the feeling that you get of helping someone can never be any of that stuff, can top that. That purpose is key. And, yeah, come on to the Philadelphia Fire Department.
And I just want to add real quick, don't let anybody discourage you, just like you asked that question. Did anyone discourage us? To the community out there, don't let anybody discourage you. I'm constantly recruiting because I believe in this career path, right? And the impact, keep saying impact, but that's the copy cool word right there.
Yeah.
But definitely the impact that we have and the service that we provide. But I'm constantly recruiting on my own, even when I'm off duty. I remember walking into a store and I saw a girl and she was handling her business. She was like the floor manager or something at the store. And I said, we hiring. Do you ever thought about becoming a police officer? She said, it's funny that you asked because I was talking to my husband about that. And he don't think I would be a good cop. I said, well, I'm telling you, and I'm a captain of a police department, you would make a great cop. So think about it some more. And here's the website where you can actually apply and look into it a little bit more, right? I went back another time. Did you apply? She's like, oh, I'm in the middle of the applying and stuff like that. So I think that just if this is your passion, if this is what you want to do, don't let anybody discourage you.
I think not all, but many people, especially in our community, are not setting the bar high enough for themselves.
And she was a Latina, the girl I was talking to. So
yeah, look at that, and you think this is it, right? And you don't know there's so many options and opportunities out there, especially when you speak two languages, right? Mm-hmm. But being able to understand that, showing you both here, saying, oh, that bar is high, but you could get there. Mm-hmm. But you got to want it, right? You got to be able to get there. And we were speaking before the film was rolling. I was mentioning how, across the city for many years, many programs are catered towards, I'm be honest, it's just my opinion on it too, but I think there's a lot of facts to it. We cater a lot to the young men, the boys. And I don't think too many programs are catering to these young girls, especially today. I'm seeing more and more as I go through these neighborhoods and I'm seeing many different issues. I'm seeing more of our young ladies out there who have gone astray, involved with more activities that they shouldn't be involved with, low self-esteem. And what I mean by that is they think that you need these other things to be somebody, whether it's social media, whether they see it in our community or anywhere else. I don't think that there's enough programs or anything like that out here, or not just programs, but examples, right? Matter of fact, there are, but we're not showcasing them. So that's why I'm excited about this today, because you're here and there's so many just like you out there. And I just think that you should be out there more, showcased more. And I want to thank you both so much for taking your busy time, your busy schedule, and taking a break from that to share your life stories here at the Domino table. Hopefully you could come back again and we could revisit that. And I know that Eric and Abigail are going to kill me with this because I forgot one question. I forgot one big question. And I know this is a tough question because I asked this around from both departments. Mm-hmm. Who was the first, not the first ranking, first Latina police officer, and who was the first Latina firefighter? And if you don't know, it's okay, but it's just how do we research together as a team to find that, right?
Oh, I know.
And how we put that on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. And because I believe even if that person didn't make rank, they paved the way.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for the fire department, it was Caroline Sotomayor. She is still on the department. She's the first Latina.
She's still on the department.
She's still on the
Amazing.
department. Yes.
So how many years?
So it hasn't been that many years. She got on, I want to say she has maybe 5 to 6 years more than I do. So she's probably closer to like 30 years.
That's not so long ago.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. But she's the first Latina.
Now, when were women allowed to be firefighters?
So historically, there was a slave that was a firefighter. Historically, if you look it up, there was a female slave that was she ran with firefighters with the horse-drawn, wagons and stuff like that, and they kind of considered her a firefighter. But in the Philadelphia Fire Department, again, it wasn't that many years ago for the first female firefighter into the department. She was an African American female.
Well, trendsetters coming in, and that's not so long ago. Things are changing. Yeah. Things are changing.
So for the police department, I do not know who the first Latina or Latino was. I kept track of the high rankings, right? Like the first Latina captain was Sonia Velasquez, and I followed in her footsteps, right? She's the first, I'm the second. Cecilia is the first captain in the fire department. So I think I kept track of that, the ranking supervisors. But on my way out the door, because I probably have about 4 years left, God willing, in my career, I definitely want to find that out because it's something to be proud of, right? Who paved the way? Not just the highest ranking or the ranking officers, but who came on this job first? What did they encounter? What were the challenges? How did they withstand the time, right? And so I would love to know that. I think I'm gonna have to dig into that more.
Yeah, we would love to put that on the Soma Society website. It's a good question. And maybe hopefully down the line, something I want to do here.
Oh wait, and if anyone out there knows who it is, please feel free to say it.
Yeah,
feel free to let us know.
Yeah, please. Something that I would love to do here at the Lighthouse. You know how Hollywood has their Walk of Fame, but kind of something similar to that, but I don't know how with different plaques, right? So we want to be able to identify these folks and put them up in certain places around the field, where there's a scan where you could click on it, go right into Soma Society, learn about the history, who they are.
Like that little brick road.
Yeah.
You know how they have like with the name and maybe like that little QR code, John?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would love that. We would love that. It's needed because our children need to know that they come from greatness. There is history. There's positive history. We're more than the opioid epidemic, right? We're more than what they talk about Badlands. We're better than that. And in order for you to click on something while you say you're bored, let me click on something, and it could be a parent sitting there watching their kids play a game, and you know what? Let me click on this real quick. Oh, did you know the first history Latina? Fact. Did you know? And it starts a conversation that is positive instead of ponchinche. Instead of talking negative, you're talking about something, and it creates conversation. So hopefully down the line we could create something like that. I know Soma Society is working hard on gathering up all types of historical figures, historical facts, and put that up where folks could just click on Soma Society and just research. Let's take a break from TikTok and everything else, and let's learn a little bit more about ourselves, or even share it, right, to other folks. Did you know? Because one day your daughter or granddaughter might say, I want to be a firefighter or a police officer, right? You could send them this information and say, you will be part of history. You will be part of a long line of just heroes and folks who paved the way and trendsetters. So, but thank you for sharing that. And how can anyone also join the Fire Explorers or Police Explorers? Any information we can put out there, or we can put that on the website?
For the Fire Explorers, you can go to the Philadelphia Fire Department's website at www.phila.gov, /fire. And then we have how do I become? You can be a firefighter application, EMT, or paramedic, or explorer. Fill out the application. You probably won't get an email right back because we do our seasons and cycles. So, but we're about to do our orientation for the 2026 season within the next 2 weeks. So if you're interested, now's the time to like fill that out and make sure that gets done. But I just want to say thank you to Domino Dialogues for having us come out today, and to Somos Societies. I think the podcast for Somos Societies is very important. It does teach a lot of the cultural history, and it's it's an easy way to follow the conversations. You guys do such a great job. I've been kind of like hooked on watching you guys.
Thank you.
And then hearing about the Santos Cheesesteaks, I'm like, oh yeah, oh my God, yeah, like, you know, I participated in all those wonderful things, and those were things that helped to build me and make me the person I am today. Badlands, I grew up in that era and in that community, but you know, it does structure you to the person that you are, because experience is what builds us, right? And I just want to say shout out to the shirts for Somos Society.
Yes.
Beautiful shirts. Yeah, this is a great way to do conversation where it's easy to follow. It's not just like a history lesson, but it's a nice way to talk about history and the things that people are bringing past and future, you know, current and future to the community.
Thank you. I think the whole goal is also to have the fourth player as the viewer.
Yeah, yeah.
You should feel like you're at the table.
For us, phillypolice.gov, we imitate exactly what the police department process would be. We do that for the explorers too, right? So there's a whole process, and you have to apply and stuff of that nature. However, we're thinking of putting the police explorers in the districts as well. So we're in the process of working that out. So yeah, I would just, if anyone wants to join, you can even Google Philadelphia Police Explorers and it'll take you right to the link. But we're trying to make it more accessible where we're putting them in the districts and also having one centralized unit as well. So just to make it more accessible to the youth, right? Because the main office is in the old police academy on State Road. So, and I just want to say that don't be discouraged to the community out there. Don't be discouraged to take the next step of being the next Puerto Rican or Latina police officer or firefighter. Yeah, it's an amazing career. You can do a whole lot in this career path, and you can raise your family and hopefully encourage them to also come on the job.
And with the fire department, don't be discouraged with the process of getting on, because it can be quite lengthy. It could be very competitive, because, you know, we get a lot of applicants that come in, apply for it, take the test, and you can get up to like 800 people that get 100, right? We only need but so many throughout a specific time frame. But don't get discouraged by that. I, took the test twice to get on. I know a lot of firefighters that have gotten on, they took the test multiple times, and it took them some time. But once they get on, every firefighter that you talk to in the Philadelphia Fire Department, they're going to tell you it's the best job in the world once they get on, and it is. So, it may take some time, but it's worth it.
Oh, thank you for that. And you mentioned 4 years, but I don't see you retiring from service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I think just from servicing people
in general,
in general, and it's kind of like, what is the next adventure? Or you're looking at another way, like, you know what? I don't have all these other obstacles, which we're not negative, but now you could do more. I can see that in you, and thank you for even bringing up. You got to want it. You got to push. You got to drive. Like the story I said about my son earlier. But now he's certified. And I will say this. I didn't promise him anything when he signed up for the Explorer program, and then when he took the ENT class, he had to sacrifice his summer every day from like 7 to almost 5. Right. That is a big deal for a teenager to do that, right? And for a parent, right? For a parent, the commitment to get up. It's Saturday, I want to get some sleep, But or even during the week, when he was taking the class every day, and to know that he was getting these responses or these comments from friends or certain family members. Oh, we going to the beach today. You got to go to that program. Right. Wow, That really got it sinks in, right? Oh, I can't go to that because I'm in my class, you know. But he finished through, and that says a lot. And I did buy him a Mini Cooper right after he finished out, you know. And then
we saw it. We were like, oh, okay.
yeah, you know, he got his license, and
Yeah,
you
keep
know,
encouraging him.
yeah,
right?
yeah. But it was, I didn't promise that
right in the beginning.
in the beginning, but it was like there are rewards after that, right? I see your hard work, and I want to acknowledge that and push you to keep moving forward. So I safe to say, he's looking at so many different careers now. Sometimes I will see him looking at, you know, colleges that might have courses in the fire department, you know, just so many different things to see that he's looking at, you know, different studies for that. So again, thank you ladies so much. I would like to say I'm your biggest fan. I know you're going to get a whole bunch now, but
I appreciate it.
I've always been your both of your biggest fans from afar, but just so much respect and honor, and thank you so much for being part of the show. This is another episode at Domino Dialogues, an extension of Somos Society. Thank you for watching, and for more information, go to somosociety.com. See you soon. Copy cool.